now. And Melwyn Noronha is the Deputy CEO of Shipping Australia. This is because Maritime Safety Queensland has barred ships from being able to enter ports until 14 days has gone since the last time they were in a port. Now, this is all, of course, about extra quarantines about coronavirus, but the truth of delaying freight has massive flow-on effects, and Melwyn's in our Sydney studio. Melwyn, what happens if this rule stays?
Yeah, Paul, meaning if this rule continues to stay and the situation is emerging by the hour and by every 6 hours it's changing, meaning it's going to result in potentially shortage of imported goods on Queensland shelves, which is then going to have a huge impact on Queensland families who wish to purchase these goods. Now, as you rightly pointed out, this rule put by the Queensland state authorities is over and above the national federal policy. The federal government has taken a very pragmatic approach and sensible approach, in my view, to actually allow ships to come into port, discharge their cargo, but the crew do not leave the vessel until they have completed the 14 days. Yeah. So that rule is a very, very sensible rule. And I think that will actually avail everything if, and as what I'm going to say is, there's a very simple solution to all this. All we are asking, and all the ship owners that are asking, shipping lines are asking, is allow ships to enter port, discharge their cargo, crew will continue to stay on board for the remainder of the 14 days.
Are there other, is there a reason this is specific to Queensland? Has there been use by the Maritime Union? Is it just, an abundance of caution, as they like to say? Why is it happening in Queensland and it's not happening in other places?
The Queensland government and the Queensland state authorities have decided to go this far. And from what we understand from credible sources, other states may decide to go. And that is what we're fearful of all. Our shipping lines cannot afford, they just cannot afford to stay out in open waters for 14 days, 6 to 7 days, doing nothing. That just cannot happen. So we want this policy to change in Queensland and no other state to adopt it. All we are saying, as I said earlier, is follow the national standard, and there will be a continuous flow of goods, and it'll actually facilitate trade and goods and everyday goods that Queenslanders want to buy on the shelves.
Yeah, I think you made a very clear case for this, which is there's no people involved in this. No people are coming off the ship. It's the boxes that are on the ship. But give me an idea here. Obviously, if international shipping, you have to factor in an extra 14 days or an extra week or an extra 5 days, depending on where ships have come from. Is there a possibility that it will simply be too difficult, too expensive? It'll be assumed too hard to send anything our way?
It is already becoming difficult. $25,000 to $30,000 a day for a ship to be out there doing nothing. Now, a lot of our lines have already started to contemplate bypassing Queensland. Now, that is going to result in all those goods bound for Queensland to possibly go to other states who actually have their ports open. So we don't want a situation where we have these goods landing up in Melbourne or Sydney and then being trucked, and then we'll have the trucking issue, there'll be a congestion issue, there'll be delays issue, whether we have enough of truckies on the road, and it's just going to have an escalating impact and a knock-on impact on the entire supply chain.
So, last question.
Yes.
What conversation are you having with Queensland? Are they answering the phone at all?
They are answering the phone, and I think we have extensively lobbied with federal government, state governments. We have written to the Deputy Prime Minister. We have written to most of the state premiers and the transport ministers, lobbying them. Now, Maritime Safety Queensland has recently, as of this morning, put in certain exemptions for some ports, but that doesn't really help. The ports from countries of PNG, New Zealand, and with a lot of coaxing, we managed to get them to Singapore. Now, there are other ports like Malaysia and all those in the Southeast Asian ports that a lot of our goods come in here.
Yeah.
And we want them to land here.
Vietnam,
And we want Australians not to be disadvantaged any more than we already seen the panic buying and the shortages. There won't be anything, there won't be most of the goods to buy if those goods are not on the shelves there.
Melwyn, you are an effective advocate for your cause. Thank you very much. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks a lot, Paul.
All right.